Assalamualaikum everyone. Today, our group will discuss the translation process for the medical text titled Heart Attack Diagnosis and Tests. Our discussion will cover the translation process, challenges faced, error analysis, reviewer feedback, and reflections throughout this activity. Before we begin, let me introduce myself. My name is Risa Nadia, and I am the coordinator and final editor for this task. My responsibility was to translate the remaining sections of the text, compile all group members' work into one complete document, and ensure consistency throughout the final translation. Now, I would like to invite my group members to introduce themselves and their roles in this activity.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name is Maifatin Kisina and I am translator one. I was responsible for translating the diagnosis section of the medical text.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nia Anissa binti Muhammad Nazri, and my role in this project was as reviewer 1. My responsibility was to review translator 1's translated medical text by checking the grammar, sentence structure, clarity of meaning, and accuracy of medical terminology. I also provided corrections, comments, and justifications for every change made to improve the overall quality and professionalism of the translation.
Hi everyone, I'm Farzana Zaida binti Fakrul Azam and I'm translated too. I'm responsible for translating the ECG and blood test section of the text.
Hi, Assalamualaikum everyone. I'm reviewer 2 and I will review translated to section by checking grammar, terminology consistency, clarity and meaning accuracy.
Thank you, everyone. This activity involved both translation and peer review to ensure the final text was accurate, clear, and suitable for the target audience. Each member was given different responsibilities, including translating, reviewing, and editing specific sections of the text. I will now invite Translator 1 to present her section regarding the diagnosis part of the source text.
Alright, thank you Risa. Assalamualaikum and hello everyone again. So my name is Mai and as what I already said, I was assigned as translator 1 for this group project. My responsibility was to translate the diagnosis section from English to Malay. So during the translation process, I focused on maintaining the original meaning of the source text while making sure that the Malay translation sounded clear, natural, and suitable for medical context. First of all, one of the challenges that I faced was translating medical related terms accurately without relying too much on direct translation. Well, some English words do not have a simple literal translation in Malay, so I had to consider the context and meaning carefully. For example, I have translated the term healthcare provider as penyedia penjagaan kesihatan instead of pembekal penjagaan kesihatan. So this is because the word penyedia sounds more professional and is more commonly used in medical settings. Furthermore, I also had difficulty in translating the sentence, a heart attack is often diagnosed in an emergency setting. So at first, I translated it as serangan jantung sering berlaku dalam situasi kecemasan. But after reviewing the sentence carefully, I realized that the original text focuses on the diagnosis process, not the occurrence of the heart attack itself. Moreover, I changed the sentence to serangan jantung sering didiagnosis dalam situasi kecemasan to make sure the meaning will remain accurate. So another important aspect during the translation process was choosing suitable vocabulary and sentence structure. I try to use formal language because the text is related to the medical field. For example, I use words such as symptom, sejarah perubatan, and pemeriksaan tekanan darah to make the translation sounds more professional and appropriate for the readers. Besides that, I also ensured that the sentences were easy to understand and does not sound too complicated. I think this is very important because medical information should be explained and communicated clearly to avoid any misunderstanding among the readers. So overall, after completing my translation, I have submitted my work to reviewer one for proofreading and feedback. So next, I'll pass the presentation to the next presenter, which is reviewer one. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mai. So, based while I was reviewing the translated text by translator one, overall I found that the translation was clear and understanding. However, I identified several areas that could be improved in terms of grammar accuracy, vocabulary appropriateness, sentence fluency, terminology, and also tone consistency. So first of all, I noticed repetition in the phrase pemeriksaan semasa pemeriksaan kesihatan berkala. To improve the sentence structure and avoid repetition, I suggested replacing one of the words with saringan. This change made the sentence sound more natural and improved vocabulary variation. Also, I reviewed the medical terminology used throughout the translation. The term penyedia penjagaan kesihatan was understandable, but I suggested changing it to penyedia perkhidmatan kesihatan because it is more suitable for formal medical writing and sounds more natural in Malay medical contexts. This correction helped maintain terminology appropriateness and contextual accuracy. In addition, I improved several sentence structures to make the translation clearer and more fluent. For example, the phrase "jika anda boleh memberi respons" was changed to "jika anda boleh menjawab soalan". This adjustment better reflects the original English meaning while maintaining a more natural sentence structure in Malay. Another important correction involved semantic accuracy. So the original English text used the words tests, but the translation used pemeriksaan. I suggested replacing it with ujian because it is a more accurate equivalent in medical translation. This change ensured that the translated meaning remained faithful to the source text. I also suggested improving the sentence pemeriksaan dijalankan untuk mengetahui bagaimana jantung berdegup to ujian dijalankan untuk memeriksa degupan jantung. This revision improved clarity, readability, and formality in the medical context. During the collaborative error hunting session, my group members and I discussed several vocabulary choices, sentence structures, and terminology differences to ensure the translation remained accurate, consistent, and suitable for the target audience. Through teamwork and peer discussion, we were able to identify weaknesses that may have been overlooked individually and improve the overall quality of the translation. Overall, the reviewing process helped produce a translated text that was clearer, more accurate, and more professional in terms of grammar, terminology, tone, and contextual meaning. So that is all from me. I will pass it over to the second translator.
Hi everyone, I'm translated too, and my main focus during this task was to ensure that the medical terminology was translated accurately, while also maintaining clarity and readability for the target audience. Since this is a medical related text, it was very important to preserve the correct meaning, especially for technical terms. For example, terms like ECG and specific medical concepts related to heart conditions needed to be translated carefully so that the information remains reliable and professional. And at the same time, I made sure that the sentences were not too complex so that the readers can still understand the content easily. And one of the main challenges I faced was handling technical medical terms, such as ECG and blood clot related terminology. Though these terms do not have a direct or commonly used translation in Bahasa Melayu, or they may sound unfamiliar if fully translated. Because of this, I decided to retain certain terms in English abbreviations like ECG since they are widely used and recognized in the medical field. This decision helped maintain both accuracy and authenticity of the text while also ensuring that the translation does not confuse the readers. So that's all for me, and I'm going to pass to reviewer number two.
Thank you, Farzana. So now, as reviewer number two, my responsibility was to review the ECG and blood test sections translated by Translator 2. During the review process, I focused on several important aspects such as grammar, sentence structure, terminology consistency, clarity, tone, and translation accuracy. My role was not only to identify errors, but also to ensure that the translated text sounded natural, professional, and suitable for a medical context in Malay language. Overall, I found that the translation was clear, organized, and easy to understand. The translator successfully maintained the original meaning of the source text while using formal language appropriate for academic and medical writing. In addition, many of the medical terms were translated accurately and consistently. For example, terms such as electrocardiogram, electrode, and penanda jantung were suitable choices because these terms are commonly used in the medical field and can be easily understood by readers. I also noticed that the translator retained abbreviations such as ECG and EKG. I agreed with this choice because these abbreviations are internationally recognized and frequently used in hospitals and medical documents. Keeping certain abbreviations in English also helps maintain accuracy and avoids confusion among readers. Besides checking terminology, I also reviewed the fluency of the sentences. Some sentences were already accurate in meaning, but I suggested a few small improvements to make them sound more natural and smoother in Malay. One example is the sentence, ujian pertama yang dilakukan untuk mendiagnose serangan jantung ini merekodkan isyarat elektrik semasa ia bergerak melalui jantung. I suggested revising it to ujian pertama yang dilakukan untuk mendiagnose serangan jantung ini merekodkan isyarat elektrik semasa isyarat tersebut bergerak melalui jantung. I made this suggestion because the pronounced ear may sound slightly unclear since readers may not immediately know what it refers to. By replacing it with isyarat tersebut, the sentence become clearer, more specific, and easier to understand. Another example involves the sentence, protein jantung tertentu akan meresap secara perlahan ke dalam darah selepas kerosakan jantung akibat serangan jantung. I suggested changing it to protein jantung tertentu akan memasuki aliran darah secara perlahan selepas kerosakan jantung akibat serangan jantung. This is because the phrase memasuki aliran darah sounds more natural and medically appropriate compared to meresap ke dalam darah. In medical writing, word choice is very important because it affects both professionalism and clarity. I also reviewed the sentence ujian darah boleh dilakukan untuk memeriksa kehadiran protein ini. I suggested revising it to ujian darah boleh dilakukan untuk mengesan protein ini. I recommended this change because the word mengesan is more concise and commonly used in medical context. It also makes the sentence sound more fluent and less repetitive. Besides grammar and vocabulary, I also check whether the translation maintained the same meaning as the original source text. This is important because medical texts require high accuracy. Even small translation mistakes can change the meaning of information and may lead to misunderstanding. Throughout this review activity, I learned that reviewing is just as important translating because reviews help improve the overall quality of the final document. A review must pay close attention to details such as spelling, punctuation, sentence clarity, and terminology consistency. I also learned that direct translation is not always the best approach. Sometimes a sentence may be grammatically correct but still sound unnatural in the target language. Therefore, reviewers must consider both meaning and readability when suggesting corrections. Overall, this activity gave me a better understanding of the challenges involved in translating medical texts. It also showed me how important collaboration and peer review are in producing high quality translation work. Thank you. That is all from me.
Thank you everyone for the presentation and discussion. As the coordinator and final editor for this activity, my responsibility was to translate the remaining sections of the medical text, which included the chest x-ray, echocardiogram, coronary catheterization or angiogram, and CT or MRI sections. During the translation process, I focus on maintaining accuracy while making the sentence easy to understand for Malay readers. Since this is a medical text, I had to be careful with technical terminology and avoid translation that sounded too literal or confusing. One challenge I faced was translating terms related to medical procedures and equipment. For example, in the angiogram section, the source text mentioned a long thin tube called a catheter. I translated the word catheter as catheter because it is already widely used in Malay medical terminology and sounds more accurate in a professional context. Another example is from the echocardiogram section. The original sentence explained how sound waves create images of the moving heart. I translated it as gelombang bunyi atau ultrasound menghasilkan image jantung yang sedang bergerak. I chose the phrase menghasilkan image because it sounds clearer and more natural in Malay academic writing. For the CT and MRI section, I also ensured that the translation remained simple and understandable even though the original text contained technical information. I maintained terms such as CT and MRI because these abbreviations are commonly recognized in medical field. And after completing my translation, I reviewed the entire document again to ensure all sections use consistent terminology. For example, our group consistently used terms like serangan jantung for heart attack, ujian darah for blood test, and jantung for heart throughout the translation. I also checked whether the sentence structure matched the formal and academic tone required for medical texts. Some sentences from different sections had different writing styles, so I made small adjustments to improve the flow and consistency of the final document. Personally, this activity helped me improve my confidence in translating formal and technical texts. I realized that medical translation requires not only language skills but also careful understanding of meaning and context. I also learned the importance of consistency in terminology and teamwork during the editing process. Through reviewing and discussing corrections together, I became more aware of common translation mistakes and how small words choices can affect the clarity of a sentence. The experience also improved my communication and collaboration skills because every member contributed different ideas to strengthen the final translation. So before we end our discussion, I would like to invite every group member to share one short concluding reflection or final thought about this activity. So let's start with translator one.
Alright, so overall, as translator one, this group discussion helped me understand that translation is not just about swapping words, but it also involves a deeper understanding of context, meaning, and audience. I also learned that medical translation need high accuracy because even small mistakes can change the meaning of an important information. It also improved my awareness of using appropriate formal language and consistent terminology. Moreover, I gained experience in working collaboratively with my group members through translation, reviewing, and discussion. Um, Lastly, this activity also improved my confidence in presenting and explaining my translation choices. In conclusion, this project has helped me develop better translation skills, critical thinking, and teamwork skills. Thank you. That's all from me. Next presenter, please.
Okay, so as reviewer one, I learned that reviewing a translation involves more than simply correcting grammar mistakes. It also requires careful attention to meaning, terminology, sentence fluency, tone consistency, and contextual accuracy. Through this task, I improved my proofreading and analytical skills by identifying typographical, semantic, and structural issues in the translated text. I also learned that different translators may interpret medical terminology differently, so collaboration and peer discussions were important in helping us choose terms that were both accurate and natural in Malay. In addition, the collaborative review process helped me become more aware of how language structure and word choice can affect clarity and professionalism in medical translation. Overall, this experience strengthened my attention to detail, critical thinking skills, and understanding of professional translation and reviewing practices. That's all from me. Thank you.
So, as a translator one, this activity really helped me improve my understanding of translation strategies, especially when dealing with technical or specialized texts. And I learned that the translation is not just about changing words from one language to another, but it also involves making decisions like, for example, whether to translate a term fully or to keep it in its original form. And additionally, I became more aware of the importance of consistency in terminology, especially in formal or academic texts like this one. And overall, this does help me develop my skills in producing translations that are not only accurate, but also clear and appropriate for the intended audience. Thank you. Next presenter.
Thank you. And for me as reviewer too, throughout this activity, I learned that reviewing a translation requires careful attention to detail because even small mistakes can affect the clarity and accuracy of the text. I also realized that medical translation is more challenging than general translation because it involves technical terminology and formal language. Reviewers must ensure that the translated text remains accurate while still sounding natural in the target language. Besides that, this activity improved my critical thinking and editing skills because I had to analyze sentence structure, vocabulary choices, and meaning before suggesting corrections. I also learned the importance of teamwork and communication during the reviewing process. By discussing corrections together, our group was able to improve the quality of the final translation and avoid misunderstandings. In conclusion, the review process played an important role in improving the overall quality of the translated text. Through peer feedback and collaboration, we were able to produce a translation that was clearer, more accurate, and more suitable for medical and academic purposes. This activity also helped us develop our translation, reviewing, and communication skills while giving us a better understanding of the importance of accuracy in medical translation. That is all from me. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for your cooperation and participation throughout this activity. Overall, this activity improved our translation skills, communication skills, and understanding of medical terminology. It also taught us the importance of collaboration and peer review in producing high quality translation work. Thank you. That is all from our group discussion. Berapa minit?